It's Wake Up Worlds, Groups, Day 6. Group B is complete. Damwon Gaming and JD Gaming qualify into playoffs. The rivalry between the LCK and LPL is heating up. Which region will come out on top? PSG Talon make a statement despite being eliminated from the tournament. Are your predictions boomed? We'll check in on the results so far.
Whole fancy toolkit that you buy your dad on Christmas, and now Rogue's going to come in and fight up against him. Inspired is taken down. Canyon goes godlike. Nagari coming in from the side. Piercing Darkness fired off. And look at all that damage. Goodbye, Finn. Goodbye, Rogue. Goodbye, hopes and dreams. Zoom diving in. Hextech Ultimatum does what it needs to do. Double kill over to the 80 carry of JDG. Finn's on the run. Hansama's kiting around, but it will not matter. He goes down. Finn barely walking away, but the bullet in his back says no, sir.
Morning Shadow used as well. There's the knocker from the corner of the Forge Squad. Tank, look at the flank position as Hanabi dives in onto Vander. Vander's still alive somehow, but here goes Tank. Unleashed power straight into the base of Finn, and Tank is one, and there's the second. Finn's down. Inspired goes Gordon, but he cannot stop this fight. PSG with 4 in the mid lane. The hero's entrance is a little bit too late. Showmaker dive bombs into the middle of JDG. The ignite goes down as Beryl will be the first of all. Showmaker follows shortly after. And JDG, they welcome Damwon with open arms. They said, dive into us as much as you want. We'll take your lives. We'll take your Nexus.
Day 12 of the World Championship is in the books, and we're here to break it all down. Worlds. Esports Worlds program. Thank you so much for watching us live on Twitch and on YouTube. And we are here with you every single step of the way until a world champion is crowned. Arda and Tyler, we are sticking around. We are talking Group B as it is now decided. Of course, yesterday we saw Suning and G2 advance, and today, no big surprise on who advanced. Maybe some surprising results, Tyler. But at the end of the day, it was always Damwon and JD Gaming, and they go through.
Yep, it was a beautiful day, Arda. NA has gone undefeated at Worlds. It's a beautiful, beautiful day. North America undefeated in Group B. I didn't know it was possible. I didn't know it was going to happen, but I'm wearing my North American headband today because, man, oh man, North America, they went undefeated today. I can't say they came.
They looked great.
Really. They looked
fantastic.
They looked fantastic.
I mean, double lift at the vending machine, like incredible precision, you know?
Team Liquid at the airport, like
our
guys played really well today.
Man, they checked in so well with their boarding. They all printed their boarding passes before getting to the airport.
Beautiful.
Unbelievable.
Beautiful.
Well
Great
done.
performance by North America today. Really, the MVPs of the day is North America. A full day without Twitch chat berating them. It was a really historic day for them. But for real though, this was not the sexiest day of Worlds. This was not a day that 10 years from now we're going to be telling their grandchildren about. This is not like some historic day, but there were some interesting tidbits. I think we had an honorable death for one of these teams. I think JD Gaming versus Damwon was one of the better matches of the tournament thus far, even though the match didn't really decide anything. By that point, everything was already decided. So while it wasn't the most high-stakes match, it still was one of the most fun matches we've seen so far of two incredibly high-skilled team fighting squads just skirmishing all over the map in a barrage of brutality and fun. So we have a lot to dig into. It was not the most exciting day, but I think there's a lot we can dig out from here. And there's a lot of things we can look forward to, as you had a fun discussion of Showmaker after his match. So we can dive into that and what they are looking forward as they go into the quarterfinals.
Oh, believe you me, they are definitely looking forward to one team in particular, but we'll get to that. So how did Damwon get to this point? They secured first place. They didn't have the best showing against JD. You got to wonder whether draft or even mental attitude had to do with that match that last match against JD. But what did you glean from Damwon's overall performance today?
They are still my favorite to win the World Championship. I would still be surprised if they don't make it to the final unless TES is standing in their way somewhere in the semis or quarters. They're incredibly skilled. Even in a game against JD Gaming where Their early game was lackluster. They looked a bit lackadaisical, giving up early kills, going too far in when they should have just been more patient. We've seen a lot more patience from this team. This kind of showed some of the old habits of last year when Damwon Gaming was this fiery young team, very known to be, playing balls to the wall, always up in your face, and they could trip sometimes and stumble and play a bit stupidly. And I think we saw some of their antics come out here, where we're seeing so far up to that JD Gaming, we've seen kind of the perfect team. They're a team that can play different styles. They can brutalize you in the early game, they can beat you in the mid game, and they can outthink you in the late game. They're a team with all around just all these incredible styles. And it's not just that they're mechanically gifted and that they can beat you in every single way, from laning to team fighting to skirmishing. It was also that they were smart about it. The patience, the knowing the right time to press that go button, the right time to take a fight, to let a Drake go if a Drake doesn't fit into their plans or they don't feel like their items are in the right place. Where in the JD Gaming, they just fought, and there was a lot of fighting, and it didn't really matter what time it was in the map. It was kind of just they were going to take a fight, and they were in a skill test and just kind of test their limits. And for the most part, these two are arguably the best team fighting teams in the world. So we had a lot of incredible back and forth swings between these two heavyweights. But I also you have to look at it that, yes, these two teams were locked into their place by the time we got to this final game, where if there was a tiebreaker looming, if Damwon lost, I wonder if they would have played a bit more patiently. It does suck that they did not join their South Korean brethren of Samsung White, SKT in 2015, and Longju Gaming in 2017 as the only teams to ever go 6-0 in the group stages. TES is now the only team capable of claiming that incredible feat. I do feel like they are a team that is of that 6-0 ilk. I feel like JD Gaming, though, has showed up today, and that they showed that they are a top 3 team at Worlds, as a lot of us predicted, where the trio of JD Gaming, TES, and Damwon really are kind of the pinnacle of play we're seeing at Worlds. And then there's a few other teams like Gen.G, G2, maybe even a Fnatic, who have the potential to be dark horses.
So I have a very quick question, Tyler, just a sidebar, because I did a little bit of research on undefeated teams. So SKT lost 1 game in 2015.
Yep.
Samsung White lost 2 games in 2014. So SKT in 2015 was the only time. That was the closest we ever got to a perfect Worlds, right? And they lost in the final against KOO Tigers. So I'm curious, because you covered that. Like, how much of that conversation going into that was, this is going to be an undefeated year, this is going to be a perfect Worlds?
I think going into it, there was a discussion of like who's better, the KOO Tigers, SKT. SKT was coming off statistically the greatest domestic season in South Korean history, and they were already the most dominant region. So I think by that point it was a case of the KOO Tigers were the underdogs. They were the lovable story. People wanted them to win. They thought they had a chance, but by the time the first 2 games went by, SKT kind of dominated. And then KOO Tigers came out and they stole game 3 off of Hojin. I remember this game quite fondly, where Hojin, their most maligned member, their team captain, the less mechanically gifted member of their team, was on Lee Sin, and he played the best game of his career, kind of stealing a game away from SKT, stopping their perfect run. And I remember the entire Mercedes-Benz crowd was on the Tiger side. They were screaming the KOO name. Everyone was against SKT at this point. The lovable SKT. They wanted to see Game 5. Everyone
forget the perfect run.
Yeah, they wanted the story. They wanted the Game 5. They wanted more League of Legends. They wanted to see an epic final. And I remember the crowd going crazy for KOO Tigers, and then with everyone in the crowd screaming KOO Tigers, Faker picked in his rise and absolutely smashed them. And maybe one of the greatest single performances I've ever seen of any player ever. He was like 1v3 KOO Tigers in that 4th map and just put them to bed. So I think Damwon has the potential to be that kind of team. I really do think they are a team that we can maybe, seeing how they go in the playoffs, I do think they have holes. As shown in today, they can revert back to their old state where they can be lured into these dirty fights. And I want to see, with the stakes higher and them not being locked into their spot, if that was just, them testing their limits because they were already locked into the number 1 seed, or if those bad habits are still with them and that they can be exploited against, a G2. Because if they meet G2 in a quarterfinal and, they have that emotion going where they feel like they have to beat G2 and they like have this like, it's the monkey on their shoulder. It's the demon, keeping up at the night. It's what's haunting them, right? And if you go against G2 and G2 is a team that loves to always fight, always skill test, I don't know if Damwon could hold back and play a smart game. I think they might, revert back into 2019 form. And I think if that happens and G2 and Damwon face off, G2 could take, I do think there's a world where G2 could, upset Damwon if that happens, because I don't think G2 has shown their best yet. And I think they have the mechanical skill to be one of the few teams to actually, test Damwon in the playoff stage.
So Damwon is definitely looking forward to that rematch against G2. And I asked Showmaker a bunch about it. I linked it in chat, but it is available now on our YouTube channel. He talks about it a lot, and he actually says that he would rather face G2 later. So he kind of hopes he doesn't face them in the quarterfinals, even though it's a number 1, number 2 seed situation, so it could happen. He hopes that they face G2 later in the tournament because it would be even sweeter to get their revenge at a later stage. So you can tell that this matters to them very, very much. What else matters is the fact that we are seeing perhaps, Tyler, the makings of LCK versus LPL at Worlds. We could hypothetically have, other than G2, an entire field of LCK and LPL representatives. The only hope left in Group C and D really is Fnatic, as they are 2-1 right now.
Don't forget TSM. Don't forget the old TSM.
You're doing that for the likes. You're doing that for social media.
They're not dead just yet.
They're not dead mathematically. I agree. Neither is FlyQuest. Neither is Unicorns of Love. Okay, fine. With that said, Fnatic is 2-1. Yes. Hypothetically, on paper, they have the best statistical chance of making it out of groups. But the real possibility exists that we could have an LCK versus LPL situation here at Worlds. What would that mean, in your opinion? Just overall for League of Legends competitive.
It would suck for the West. I think the West got a lot of swagger to them. They got that confidence to them back in 2018 when the top 4 was 3 Western teams and 1 Asian team in IG, and everyone. I remember the temperature of the room. I was there. I was on the ground in Korea, and the Chinese and South Korean reporters were they're known for their dominance. They're known to walk into Worlds and dominate, especially for the South Korean reporters. And it felt like a winds of change, Arda. It felt like a new generation was beginning where Western teams could rise to the top, and we would see maybe a final one day of NA versus Europe, or Europe versus Europe in a final. And now 2 years later, and we look at the standings, and there's only 2 regions of positive records at Worlds currently: China and South Korea. Even Europe, and I don't think people realize this, Europe has a losing record in not just play-ins plus the group stages, but the group stages overall. They have a losing record after Rogue's 1-5 performance today. China versus South Korea does seem like it is the storyline that's going to carry over to the playoff stage, with G2 maybe G2 and Fnatic playing the spoiler player. And I think those 2 teams could actually go a long way depending on what kind of matchups they get in the quarterfinals. But I really do think we have to see what we get from Gen G and DRX, but I think TES, JD Gaming, and Damwon are the favorites still. There's nothing really that's changed that for me. I think JD Gaming has really shown, even though they did lose to PSG today, I do think at their peak, at their top form, they are a team that can beat anyone in the world. Their early game does scare me, where we saw today where they picked a very, very cocky and they picked Kale. They picked a very arrogant comp against PSG, thinking they would get to a level where Kale could get to level 16 and they would be capable of just kind of taking over the game from the top lane. But PSG was smart about it and was like, no, we're not going to let your Kale scale. And they played aggressively. And they built a very, very strong early lead. And they exploited what JDG's biggest, weaknesses is that they are not the strongest laners. They are not a team that's going to, dice you up in the early game, where a lot of their strengths come to the mid to late game with their team fighting in macro play. So China versus South Korea looks like it's going to be the main event, but there's so many different factors right now. We still have to see what the other 2 groups bring and what the bracket brings us, because that always could be could always screw over a region or a team. There's been times where one region is on one side of the bracket and it's practically guaranteed that you're going to see a Chinese or Korean team in the final. or we might see some interregional matchups in the quarterfinals. So I do think that the logical play still is a Damwon versus TES or JDD final, and it's South Korea's top team versus China's top team. But there's a lot more to go, Arda. There's always twists and surprises. Today's group stage might have been a bit of a straightforward affair, but I still feel like there are big surprises coming for us in the coming days. And I'm not saying TSM, they're still alive. They're only need three wins in a row is not that difficult, Arda. Is it? I mean, 3 wins.
So what we're saying is, like you said in January, congratulations to TSM on winning Worlds.
Oh, if TSM somehow won Worlds, oh my, you would
that clip would go viral.
Oh, I would. You would never. I'm going to the moon, man. I'm booking a straight ticket to NASA straight to the moon because I would be. Oh.
Okay.
You hope TSM loses tomorrow. You hope they lose to Fnatic the first game tomorrow because if somehow TSM pulls off the greatest comeback in League of Legends history to make the quarterfinals, I am going to be singing that clip that I did in January as a troll all tournament long until they're finally eliminated.
Can I just tell you, Majinster in the chat said, if TSM win Worlds, I will tattoo TSM on my face. Tyler, are you prepared to do the same?
No. If TSM wins Worlds, I'll get a tattoo. I will get a tattoo of TSM on my body, not my face.
Oh, you will get a TSM tattoo, though.
Yes, I'll get a TSM tattoo. I'll say that right now. If they suck, again, the probability of TSM getting out of groups tomorrow is probably below 3%, probably 1%. I think one out of every 100 times they make it out of this group with 3 straight victories plus a tiebreaker, plus actually winning Worlds. We are talking about worse odds than.
No, I just love the idea that this is on the table, though. So let's chat. Let's just, you know what? Let's all become TSM fans for the next 24 hours. Let's all band together, just so Tyler has to get a tattoo. This rallies me more than anything else. My optimism level is now at a 12. I just wanted to putting it out there. Okay.
If
absolutely.
If TSM wins, clip it right here. I will say it now.
Chat's like, no. They're like, no, we're not even that. Not even that would be enough. Okay.
Even that.
Speaking of being a team of a fan, though, let's give a lot of credit to PSG Talon. And we like to sing happy trails to teams that have been eliminated from Worlds. I'd like to give the happiest of trails to PSG Talon because they provided us with the storyline of play-ins, the Cinderella team. Yes, of course, they seem to always be destined to not be able to get out of groups. But I thought it was so appropriate. They had a lot of great moments today. They did get an impressive victory, first of all, right? So that it was nice. It was nice that they got that win. It was fitting that they were able to get that win against JD Gaming. Yeah, and against Rogue as well. And they also took Damwon's mid lane turret, which gave me a lot of Cloud9 spring split flashbacks. Because remember how it was like.
Do not bring up Cloud9 on this show. Do not open that wound. Do not pour salt on that wound. I'm not trying to think of what Flabber could have done in this meta. This meta was so perfect.
Dabber's on his way. Dabber's on his way.
Don't get me started on C9 in this meta. But no, go on PSG.
Fair enough. But I just want to give them some love because this was an incredible run. They got 2 wins, and even though they were in elimination situations, this was good for them and the morale of the and the PCS really gets an upgrade here, and so does PSG based on everything they went through at Worlds.
Oh yeah, definitely. The PCS can be proud. The LMS, the last few years before the LMS dissolved into the PCS, it was almost customary that at least 1 or 2 of those teams would go 0-6. They were the butt of the joke. They were the team that you just kind of circled on the schedule and you celebrated if you got drawn in their group. I remember going to various group draws where all I did was just hope that a LMS team, not named Flash Wolves, would be drawn into a group with one of the NA teams because I felt like if you got Hong Kong Attitude or a Mad team, that you were almost guaranteed at least 2 wins because they were the team that always tried really hard, but they played slow. They weren't really scary. They didn't have a bite to them, and they relatively were. They didn't have the superstar players that you could be frightened of outside of a Fofo of J Team or a Flash Wolf team of old with Maple and Sword Art. So very honorable appearance, not by just PSG but Machi as well. Machi played all of the teams. Suning, Team Liquid beat Team Liquid. That's going to haunt Team Liquid, as we said yesterday, for a long time. closely. And same thing with PSG Talon, where JD Gaming drafted a very cocky comp that they said, we are good enough to scale until our KL keyed online. And PSG said, no, we're not going to let you do that. We might be PSG. We might be from the PCS. You might not respect us as one of the top, 8 teams or even top 12 teams at Worlds. But if you pick a comp like this, we can wreck you early. And that's what they did. And not just – and I think a lot of us, and I mean, including us, we were sad that, the super PSG team of Uniboy and Kongwei couldn't play at the main event. And it felt – bad that River and Tank, the 2 starters, came in, and it was an awkward situation. But I think finally we saw the true PSG today, and I think for River and Tank, it's an awesome feeling. It's relief and it's happiness, and even though they're not making to the top 8, I think PCS for their first World Championship, I think they can hold their head high. They breezed through the play-in stage in first place in their group, had a lot of memorable victories, and their 2 teams both didn't go winless. And Machi took a big game off Team Liquid, which stopped them from qualifying into the top 8. And PSG beat JD Gaming, who one of the best teams in China. So for the first year of PCS, this is an amazing accomplishment, because for the last few years, the LMS has kind of just been this team where they send maybe 1 decent team and 2 god-awful sides that are 0-6. So great performance by PSG, and it's an honorable death. It's an honorable death to go down like this. We compare that to Rogue, who had 1 good game and then 5 kind of questionable ones. Mm-hmm. And I think they're going to go back to Europe trying to rethink what went wrong. And even though they were in the group of death, they could have played a lot better. I think PSG goes home and they say, yeah, we got outscaled. We were outgunned, but we weren't out attempted. In terms of effort, they weren't beaten. No team outworked PSG.
Right.
From all their combos in the lineup to everything, they weren't just out. In terms of effort, they was always there. So PSG, incredible first run here. And I think for the PCS, this is something you can hang your hat on. You can come back next year and you can say, all right, first year, we didn't embarrass ourselves. Yeah. Now let's get a team into the top 8, because that's the next step. If you can get a PCS team to the top 8, that rejuvenates the entire region and it excites that region. So I'm looking forward to 2021 in PCS.
Well, maybe 2021 will be the year the PCS do make it to the top 8. I can tell you in our ESPN Esports League of Legends predictor, I have finally cracked the top 1,000. Thank goodness I have made it.
Congratulations.
If you go to ESPN.com/League of
You did it.
Yes, I did, Tyler. You are so mighty in the top 100 that you got to look down on me. How's the weather down there, Arda? How's it going?
I'm currently in rank 69, Arda. I'm currently ranked 69.
Very nice
indeed. Did a great job. I'm in striking distance of the top 68, so that excites me. Top 68. I do have my only issue is that I do have in the will any team go 6-0 group stage question. I have a yes. Damwon screwed me today, Arda. I could have confirmed that 6-0 question today. I could have written it up. Only 30% of people said yes, the team would go 6-0. So all my hopes now go on TS.
Oh, I said yes also. I said yes as well. So I'm one of that 30%. So I'm hoping a top esports 6-0 for my... Yeah, here we go. So you can play for free. Invite your friends. Go to ESPN.com/League of Legends Predictor. Or if you have the ESPN Fantasy app, you click on the trophy. You can create custom groups so you can battle against your friends. It's a whole lot of fun, and you can play all the way until the finals. Basically, you can make picks for the playoffs and then the finals as they come along. So it's a lot of fun. We've been having fun tracking our progress, and I'm happy that I'm 949th, believe it or not. Tweet or delete. This is a segment where we have a bunch of saved tweets in our drafts, and we decide right now whether we would tweet them or delete them. Let's go. You ready, Tyler?
Yeah, I don't know what these are, and it's spontaneous as always. So if it's a bad one, I'm just going to laugh at you and say next. So
yeah, fair enough.
Fair warning. No,
it's okay. It's okay. I like your genuine reactions. Yeah. Tweet number 1. Rogue could have escaped any other group.
No, that's dumb. They went 1-5. They No.
You don't think they would have escaped Group C?
No.
Take Fnatic out, put Rogue in. You don't think they would get
No.
out? No, huh?
No.
Wow. Okay.
Well, they
What do you have against Rogue? I thought you wore a blue hoodie the
I
entire year.
I love Rogue. I love Rogue, but we're asking this question after they went 1-5 in a group where they were the 4th best team in a group. Yes, I do agree that 2 of the top 3 teams were here, but they weren't even better than PSG Talon. I think PSG Talon played Damwon and JD Gaming better. Rogue had one really awesome game, which was the first game of groups versus PSG Talon, but that was really off of the heels of a very ingenious level 1 where Hans Som and Vander creeped into the mid lane and, got that gank off in the mid lane as a level 1 bot duo. So Rogue, I think, have the potential to be a team to make top 8. Larson did not have a good tournament. Inspired in a jungle-focused meta where a jungler has to carry for a team to go far, wasn't up to snuff. Finn, people talk about him being a liability. They put him on a lot of champions like Malphite to kind of keep him alive, and I don't think he performed terribly, but teams did pick on him. And the bot lane, which was their strong point for a lot of the tournament, was it was a strong point, but this is not a bot-centric meta, and their best shining moment was them ganking in the first game of the series as, pseudo junglers. So, no, the answer is no. This is a long answer to say no. Maybe they would do better in other groups, but I don't think they would advance in any other group. So, maybe PSG Talon. Maybe if you put PSG Talon in that question, it could be a bit more interesting.
Yeah, Shirius agrees in the chat. I think PSG might have had a better chance in some other groups. All right, this might be a controversial one. Tweet number 2 is NA and OCE merge NA and EU instead.
Are you just trying to make me laugh with these questions? For if you want to make people maul, like if you want to anger people, I don't know how. If we fused NA and EU, I'm trying to think of what NA player like obviously Blabber and Licorice and would find a way onto teams maybe even top teams, but it would do nothing but kill off North America and Oceania. It's similar to the Oceania into NA thing, right? Where sure, we'll see a few Oceania players now break into the LCS, but I don't think it's going to be a stampede of Osh players coming to the NA because now they're residents. I think players like Fudge, King, maybe Lost, obviously FBI is already one of the better players in NA. Those players are going to be hot commodities and probably make starting rosters, but I don't think they're just going to stampede over. And it would be the same thing if you combined NA and EU. Sure, Blabber would, do well, and I think he would, level up as a player, and you could maybe see him grow to being one of the world's best in Europe when you have stiffer competition all year long. But overall, I think no, just keep them separate. It's a lot more fun when you have they're the main rivals. You don't want rivals being merged together. So yeah, delete that one.
Third tweet is TSM will finish Worlds 2020 winless.
Ooh, this is a good one. That's a hard one. I'll say I think it comes down to their first game versus Fnatic. If they beat Fnatic, I think, and the magic's there. I mean, if they get that one win, they got that spring in their step. 2 games away from the miracle run. I think they play with. I think the one thing is that they go in tomorrow with nothing to lose, right? They're already embarrassed week 1. They went 0-3. Their last game versus LGD was kind of a mess. They tried to play, LeBlanc and it failed and it fell on their face. So they come into week 2 with really no regrets, no fear. They should just play play for fun, play hard. And if I think they beat Fnatic, I think then, storylines alive. I think they could do some damage. I think if they lose to Fnatic, they just kind of falter. I think if they lose to Fnatic and their tournament's over, I think they just get stomped 0-6. So will they beat Fnatic? Heart says yes, brain says no, Arda. So I usually tweet with my brain because I don't want to get fired. So I'm going to say yes, I'll tweet that.
This might be a quote tweet opportunity, like a crying emoji or something.
Yeah.
Quote, yeah. Tweet number 4, G2 will be the only Western team in playoffs. I tweet that. No,
I won't tweet that. I think Fnatic's really good. And I think
you think Fnatic makes it in?
I think when you look at this meta, you really have to a lot of it does come down to how much do you trust your jungler? How good is your jungler? Is your jungler strong enough on various jungle carry picks to run the map? Do you see them as a person who can run over the other team's jungler, and if they are skilled enough to just take over the jungle? We've seen Canyon do it. We've seen SOFM do it with Suning. Those are the top 2 teams so far. Those are the 2 best junglers in their respective groups. Who's the best jungler in Group C? You have Klid, you have Selfmade, you have Peanut, and you have Speakia. The team with the weakest jungler is 0-3. I do think Selfmade right now is in this meta with his Eve pick being just insta-bannable. I do think he might be the most dangerous jungler in Group C. And because of that, and because of my belief in Selfmade, I do think Fnatic will make it out. Unless, things go awry in week 2. Which is always possible, but I do believe in Selfmade as a player. And even if, Hillsang could be a bit off at times, and Whippo can have his, slumps and dips and everything. And, Nemesis isn't in a position where you would want him to, hard carry. This is a meta where it's all about the jungler and, the roaming support and the jungler support kind of taking over. Hillsong is a great roaming support, and Selfmade is a hard carry jungler. And this is why Fnatic bought him in the offseason. So I'm not saying they're going to be the number 1 seed coming out of Group C, but I do think Fnatic will make it to the top 8.
And they do have a head-to-head advantage, too, because they beat LGD, who you would think between Gen G and LGD are the weaker team on paper. Yeah. They did lose to LGD, but week 2, maybe backs against the wall, the business side of things, maybe they get that victory. So really it comes down to the Fnatic Gen G matchup, and you would expect Gen G to beat LGD, and maybe TSM pull off an upset against LGD too, right? Even if they play the role of spoiler, you could see a world where that happens. So if it seems you're right. It seems more probable that LGD will fall from grace than Fnatic will not be able to keep their footing. So fair enough.
Don't give LGD their team fighting compositions. Don't let them scale. Push them early. Force them to be proactive early and see if Peanut can keep up with you. Because I think LGD, if you let them get into their sweet spot, which is that their 20 to 25 minute team fighting, putting Mark on Leona, giving GA a champion he can team fight with, that's when they're dangerous. But if you can stop them early and you can curb their ascent and you curb their scaling, I think that they are a team that is exploitable, as we saw various times during the plan. So I think Fnatic and Gen G will make it out of Group C, even though I think it'd be hilarious somehow if TSM could revive with the Undertaker and just kind of blow the internet.
By God.
By God, by God, TSM, by God,
Bjergsen. Family, yeah, exactly. Last one is Grand Finals will be China versus Korea.
I feel like this is very determined on like the RNG of the draw. If Damwon and LGD Gaming can't be on the same side of the bracket, so those 2 teams will be directly opposed from each other. If TES is on the other side of Damwon, then yes, I would tweet this. If TES and Damwon are on the same side of the bracket, I think things become a lot messier. I hope they're on the other side of the bracket. I hope JD Gaming and TES are one side of the bracket, and I think Damwon on the other would make it more fair. I think Damwon and G2 on one side and the 2 top Chinese teams on the other would make it the most interesting if that was the semifinal, if those 4 teams can make it. And I think that would be a pretty banger semifinal lineup. But I think... Yeah, I actually do. I feel like it will be a Korea-China final. I don't know how. Don't know the combination. I do think it'll be Damwon versus one of the top Chinese teams. Maybe even Suning could pull off a dark horse run. But it does feel like a China-Korea final is needed. I feel like this tournament's all been about China and South Korea's dominance. China staying with the form they've had the last 2 years, the back-to-back world champions. South Korea kind of finding their form back into trying to regain that throne they lost back in 2018 from Invictus Gaming. So, yeah, I feel it. Let's give me an old Korea versus China final. I think it's needed.
From tweets to headlines, this is tomorrow's headlines, where we predict what the headlines will be after the matchups tomorrow. Tyler, what do you have prepared for us for your tomorrow's headline?
TSM miracle. Can it happen? No. Do I want it to happen? Yeah, it'd be great. It'd be fun. But I think I mean, it starts tomorrow. TSM versus Fnac. That's the first game. For the fun of it, I want to see a TSM at least beat Fnac to see how fun the expectations can go. Just how long can we ride it out until it utterly fails in the end? Like, I don't think this is going to end in a pretty way. I don't think it's going to have a happy ending, so to speak. But I want there to be that miracle to last as long as it can, Arda. And I'm just trying to. It just feels like in the 1 year where TSM has just been beaten down already, like they're already been making jokes of them. Doublelift and Bjergsen fail again at the world stage, especially with TL having such a respectable finish. Where now people can kind of look at TL and be like, "Oh, TL played pretty well. Like they beat Suning, they beat G2. They performed really well. Like Tactical is getting a lot of rave reviews about how well he did, and then." Doublelift on TSM, he obviously moved over because he thought this was the team that he could go far with. They made so many changes between the middle of the year to kind of configure this lineup. They won the domestic title and now they're 0-3. So I want to believe Arda, TSM miracle. But it's more than likely we're going to come on tomorrow's show talking about the eulogy of TSM season and why they went 0-6, more so than they went 4-3 and pulled off the most incredible comeback in League of Legends history.
And when and if that happens, Tyler, we can reference my headline, which is TSELIM.
Wow. TSLM.
Yes.
Yeah.
TSLM. TSELIM.
But
well, that remains to be seen. Hey, chip in a chair, folks. But listen, I will also say this: NA fans are very familiar with a 3-3 record and fizzling out of groups,
and a tiebreaker, a heartbreaking tie. What would the scenes be like if somehow TSM pulls off the back-to-back win to make the tiebreaker, and then they just get destroyed in the tiebreaker,
and they just lose like 24-0. And no turrets, nothing. Yeah.
What would be worse? Would it be worse that
would be way worse?
Or
that would be way worse.
Yeah,
no. Because then NA fans' hopes would be raised to an all-time high. Can you just imagine you? Come on. They beat Fnatic. You're like, whoa? It's like the Vince McMahon meme, right? Whoa. And then they beat LGD. What? And then they beat Gen G. Oh! And then they have a tiebreaker against LGD, and you're just like, oh, it's like the XQC an animation meme with the Pippi, where it's crying at your computer. That will be Tyler.
Oh, if that happened tomorrow, if that storyline happened, tomorrow's show is just gonna be Arda. I will be off the show. I'll be calling in sick with depression and sadness. I will be crying on my floor if that happens.
Let's go live to Tyler, who's apparently in a dumpster somewhere. Tyler, how are you feeling right now? And you're just in the fetal position.
Yeah. That's actually. Let's just go 0-6. Oh, you've changed my mind. An 0-6 is a lot cleaner death. Let's just lose the Fnatic. Let's just lose all these games. Let's go 0-6. That sounds a lot happier than what you're. The tiebreaker is far worse.
All right, moving on. Before we wrap the show, final thoughts. Anything that you want to mention? Anything that's on your mind, whether it's from today or just Worlds in general?
Naguri is the best top laner in the world. That is my proclamation. Zoom played really well. I thought this was the group of the two best top laners in the world. Sorry, Emily, I know you love your 3-6-9. I'm much more of a Naguri and Zoom guy. And I think Naguri had the more consistent performances. Even in the loss today, I think Naguri was off the charts. He has everything. He is a player who's gotten a lot smarter. And now that he's playing a lot smarter, a lot more patient, his mechanics and his just overall play and just the finesse he has in lane and just in team fighting is unmatched. I think he's the best top lane in the world. So that's my final thought of the day.
I want to direct everyone's attention to two interviews. One of them is already up on our YouTube channel, and one will be there very soon. Showmaker is up. We interviewed him after the day's action today. Talked a lot about G2 and that heartbreaking loss last year for them at Worlds 2019, eliminating them from contention, and now how much they want that rematch. So you can find that on our YouTube channel /ESPN Esports. Also, at some point today, you will find an extensive interview. It was about an hour long with the now former head coach of Mad Lions, Peter Dunn. And this was a really in-the-weeds, in-depth interview. If you are a fan of hearing the behind-the-scenes of how teams prepare and how Mad Lions prepared for Worlds and exactly what went wrong, even so far as the LEC playoffs leading into preparation for Worlds, going to Worlds, and all the games that were heartbreaking for them there, definitely find that on our YouTube channel very, very soon. But that's it. That's all for us right now on Wake Up Worlds, Tyler. For everybody watching in chat, thank you very much for joining us on Twitch and YouTube. And we will see you tomorrow when we are super happy that TSM qualified. I can't wait.
So gonna happen, Arda. The 4-3 dream, baby. The 4-3 dream.
See you later. The 4-3 dream.
I'm gonna be so sad tomorrow. I'm gonna be so sad.